What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I took a little break, probably about almost 2 weeks since I posted a podcast because it's been Black Friday. It's been super busy with sales on F as in Frank and Frankie Collective. By the way, if you shopped our Black Friday Cyber Monday sale, thank you so much. Much appreciated. There was mad deals and everyone came out and supported. So thanks again. Today's episode, I'm super stoked on. I have Alex James, the co-founder of Pleasures, on the show. Obviously, it's a little different than having a vintage dealer on the show because he is not one, although he used to be one. He got his roots in vintage clothing. And I want to start bringing more people like this on the show because there's a lot of people in fashion that started in the vintage game, because the vintage game gives you a basis of all things fashion you learn throughout the history. Anyway, Alex James, he's a friend of mine. He spent a lot of time in the vintage scene in New York City, sold at the Brooklyn Flea. He's DJ, he's big in music, and now he owns Pleasures brand. He started a very successful streetwear brand. I look up to him as a mentor. Yeah, it's a good one. Lots of good tidbits in here. We're just going to get into it today. No vintage news. So here we go. With no further ado, Alex James of Pleasures. Thank you for coming on the show, dude.
What's up? What's up?
I'm really stoked to have you on the show. We've been friends for a minute. We've known each other for a long time. I was introduced to you through my brother Jesse, which I'm assuming you guys met, New York days, right?
Yeah, I would say about 15 years ago.
That's a long time. It's a long time.
I know.
And I look up to you as somebody in the business that I can ask.
Oh, come on.
I call you sometimes and I'll shoot you random business advice questions, and I appreciate you always being there for them, for sure.
Always. Because, every day you learn something new, man. I've learned so much in the past, decade. It's changed my life dramatically.
So do you, throughout your time, and obviously, I'm going to intro this so everyone knows what you're up to, but have you had a mentor? Have you ever worked with people on that level that have guided you along your path?
I would say, yeah. My friend, Michael Wynn, who we started a brand called Thoroughcraft back in 2008. And he kind of just put me on the game, put me on how shoe production works, the ins and outs of business. I didn't know anything. I just had ideas,
Yeah.
So Michael really kind of steered me to learn these things, a long time ago, and then kind of just learn with people in the process. You know what I'm saying? Everybody learns from somewhere. You learned, from your older brother, dad, whatever. Yeah. Michael is kind of my dude that put me on the game,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to throw it back now. So you're from, like we said, Jesse met you in New York days. Is that where you're originally from, or did you move from somewhere to New York?
I am originally from New Jersey.
Okay.
Also a vintage mecca.
Close to the city, New Jersey?
What's up?
Was it close to the city?
Yeah. I was 45-minute train ride away. It wasn't that far.
Yeah.
And I would say, yeah, Jesse had a flea market back in the day, straight up.
Yeah, so you used to sell vintage at the Brooklyn Flea, right?
Yep, from the first inaugural season, that was like New York Times Presents Brooklyn Flea. I think the first one was 2007. I think that was the first season of it, and it kind of spawned into this nationwide thing. But I was in there from day one. It was cool.
And how did that happen? Because you obviously were in the game. You obviously were like buying vintage beforehand, right?
I was. And then I partnered up with a buddy of mine, Vintage Pimps, Mantagus, and he said, yo, let's put our, collections together and sell at this flea market. And that's how I got started.
So Vintage Pimp's still in the game, right? He's still
doing it. He still sends me photos like, yo, look what I picked up. He's got alternative searching methods. Everybody's methods now are completely different than the way they used to be.
Yeah.
Well, maybe for you it's different, but for most of us, it's a different ballgame now. It's a lot of digital stuff, a lot of digital digging.
For sure. And like, I want to know how Jesse said that you were working with someone back in the day in New Jersey, correct? You had a partnership with the dealer and you were running like a vintage department. Is this correct?
Yeah. So I used to work at a rag house.
And how did that whole thing happen?
I was buying there. Somebody had connected me. I got some information and I got connected and they said, hey, you want a job? This person is leaving and we need somebody to manage some of these projects. Urban Outfitters, Levi's, all this shit. So I said, yo, I'll do it. And came up on some cool shit in the process. It was a crazy big rag house in the middle of New Jersey. And yeah, dude, it was fucking wild. Like finding like Hermes jackets and, like $1,000 of singles and like a fucking pair of pants and like wild shit, it was just crazy. They had some great clients, that I worked with over the years, and definitely was early on in that scene for sure.
Well, so back in these flea market days, Brooklyn Flea, I only went there once, and I think it was a lot later than that. It must have been, 2013, 14 was the first time I went to Brooklyn Flea. And what was your personal style back then when you started selling at this flea? And do you still keep some items from those early days of being in vintage? Is there certain items that are like dear to your heart that you'll never let go?
No, I'm not like that. Everything has a price. And, if somebody offers me the right price, I'll sell that shit. So that's the way I've kind of lived my, art. For me, artwork's a little different, but clothes, I'm always buy, sell, trade, all that shit, No, I don't think I have anything back then, but I'd like to say my style has evolved. I was a streetwear goon back then, and I don't know. I would like to say it's evolved into a little bit more mature statue where I am now. So
yeah, for sure. So when you say streetwear goon, like we're talking New York, 2007. That's like Supreme kind of day.
Yeah, but I was just moving back from LA, so I was on like Rogue Status, Undefeated, Huff, like all that like West Coast shit, because I was just living out here for 2 years. And that was like mixing that with like the New York style with the fitteds and all that shit, it was of a time, it was of a time, and it was like an amazing era to live in New York City, party in New York City, sell vintage, fucking connect with people. It was awesome.
What was popping at the flea back then? Did you get Japanese customers coming through to buy from you? And like what?
Early.
So what were the items? Like how is that different, a change from today in what's hot and what you sold back then?
I mean, at the end of the day, the core is always still the t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like you've came across so many t-shirts in your day, like so have I. At the end of the day, it's that one specific t-shirt, bootleg from back in the day, parking lot shit, fucking. It's still the core t-shirt, and it's always for some reason a black t-shirt, right? Like I feel like if there's anything in my collection, it would be black t-shirt focused. I've started like seeing an affinity for long sleeve t-shirts, where I feel like sometimes those are overlooked, and some of them the illest graphics, because a lot of bands utilize the full illustrate.
Some of my favorites in my personal collection right now are long sleeves, like just odd versions of the same shirt, but long sleeves,
Yeah. And then, you see like Japanese trends change, and like, bigger styles are back, long sleeve styles are back, workwear is back. It's been bubbling, but now it's fucking full on. Outerwear is on another level right now,
Yeah, totally. You obviously met Brian back in those days. Procel.
Of course. Brian in New Jersey back in the day, and he was doing similar stuff. He just had more of a drive and a passion than I did. Honestly, that's the truth.
You guys still keep in touch pretty tight these days?
Honestly, I haven't spoken to him in a minute. Not over anything. I just haven't spoken to him. But I see him on Instagram. He's killing it. He's evolved into. He's doing his thing, and it's awesome to see. It really is, because you know what? If he wasn't going to do it, somebody else was, and I don't know if it's going to be at the level he's doing it.
When I think of New York vintage, I think of Procel. It's like that store. You can't go in that store without finding something that like speaks to you on a different level. You're like something that you must have,
And I appreciate all the stuff he's doing for the community. That's commendable. Respect.
Yeah, his program through all the BLM protest was crazy, and I wanted to send him products. I'm like, what you're doing is nuts. It just didn't work out, like the logistics of it all, but super commendable on that.
For sure.
Congrats on becoming a dad, by the way.
Thank you. It's I'm 7 months in the game right now, and it's fun, dude. It's like a new focus in life. I really live every day to spend time with them. It's cool. It's oddly really great timing as well. And life has slowed, so this is like a new focus, a new amazing I guess purpose in life.
Yeah, it is interesting because you basically had your kid 7 months ago, so kind of beginning of COVID, kind of beginning of stay-home life, which a new era for everyone. Interesting times, but kind of a silver lining, really. Like it's a bit of a blessing. You got a lot of time with your son at an early age, right?
Correct. Learned a lot, lots of asking other people who are parents, and learning how to cook.
I literally got a week off, or maybe I took 2 weeks off when my kids were born, but like having that time to chill.
Yeah, it's like chill, learn how to relax and enjoy the time together, because I don't think I would have had that opportunity. I had a crazy travel schedule set for Q1 and Q2 of this year, and obviously things change for a reason, and I feel like that was a blessing in disguise, straight up.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's wild how like your all plans cut, travel's cut. You got to stay home. I had a few friends, even my sister had a baby actually during COVID. And she was like really scared at the beginning of it, because just the fact of going to the hospital during that time, right?
Yeah. But luckily we had a hospital that was like pretty fucking empty, and it was separate, and didn't really feel weird. It was just like a couple people just having babies on this giant empty floor, and that was it,
Nice.
Got some food delivery, had the baby, got sushi night of, you know what I'm saying? Did it right. It was good.
Okay, I want to get into you working with brands now. So you worked with Publish brand for a long time. What was your position at Publish?
At first it was like marketing, and then over the years worked my way into design and direction, stuff like that, and overall like creative overarching with Michael. And again, learned about production, learned about all different types of sides of the business where I didn't know, because before I only knew shoes. The prior gig we learned about shoe production. This gig was about clothing production, and that's what it was all about, dude. Speaking true to what Publish was at the time, and just creating product that was for everybody, not just for a single group of streetwear focused people, but product that everybody can enjoy.
And, you were instrumental in bringing about the jogger pant. I don't know if you've talked about this enough, you're done with this subject, but it intrigues the shit out of me because it was such a phenomena of it's one of those phenomena of fashion that's like it's a epidemic where it goes so big so fast. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. There was definitely brands in Australia and the UK, and people were doing it. But I think with us, when we did it, it was the timing of the sneakers, social media. We were basically launching new photos of the Nike Flyknit, when they were coming out, paired with our pants, and those shoes completely fucking exploded. And the LA, everybody in the LA Clippers was wearing our pants, and they had the drama going on with the owner, how the owner was fucked up, said some shit that he shouldn't have because he's a scumbag, and they got kicked out. So they were on the news every day rocking our shit. And it was kind of just all these things that happened at once, and it just brought it to the next level.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen another sort of trend like that in your life in fashion?
Yeah, I mean, always. It's like the fucking the dad cap, the fucking rug right now. The rug is having a wave. Everybody wants to make rugs. It's a fucking thing. Every brand, every kid is designing rugs because, it's all going toward, Alibaba production, right? Where it's I have an idea. I'm going to connect with somebody in the internet as a factory, and they're going to make it for me. I'm going to put this idea into the atmosphere. And that's why the future to me of Alibaba, I sound like I fucking work for them, right? But I do have stock in Alibaba. But the shit's popping. Alibaba is definitely the future wave for, one-off designers who want to make stuff.
That's so funny. I got a couple bucks in there myself, so we can pump it all day. But yeah, it's true.
It's doing good. It's doing good.
You can have it. You can have your idea to fruition in literally 4 weeks delivered sometimes. And you're right. People can just get in, put their ideas out there to the world. And there's very little barrier of entry when back in the day, back when you were probably starting with these brands, production takes months. We're working out 18, 24 months in advance, right?
I know I still am, but yeah. Supplementing in between. Pleasures is killing it, dude. And I'm very proud of you. And I've known you for the whole journey. I don't know it in depth that well. So let's talk about it, dude. How did vintage and what you did in the past lead you into doing Pleasures? And you obviously did it with a partner, right? Yeah, my good friend Vlad, who obviously loves vintage too. We were basically tired of this LA fucking party lifestyle. We both had girlfriends that lived in separate places, one in Vancouver and one in New York. And we said, dude, let's put our energy toward something constructive versus just partying and doing drugs and bad things and just let's focus, right? Vlad had an opportunity with Edison Chen to launch our brand within a pop-up shop on June 6, 2015 with a bunch of other LA-based artists. And we put together some ideas that I've, wanted to see for a while. And, it was an instant success from that pop-up shop, and it left people wanting more. So we said, hey, we should pursue this. And obviously stuck with it pretty hardcore for the next 5 years. And this is where we're at today.
How long from when you started that first pop-up till when you both went full-time, quit your day jobs? Did Vlad have a day job at the time?
He did. It was more like consulting basis. So he had some free time. I was still working at Publish, and I had left formally June of 2017. So it took a solid 2 years to build it up to the point where it's okay, I can support myself in this business.
And I want to talk about design, because obviously you're big in music. You DJ, right?
Yes.
You still do that? Obviously not with COVID going on, but and you had a rich history in vintage clothing. How does your design process go? And like, break it down for us. Like, when you and your team work on stuff, do you sit in the boardroom and just shoot the shit? Do you like put up mood boards? Do you like, I want to understand this a little bit.
Well, without giving away too much here, Drew. No, it's just really just like, there's no theme. There's no anything, we're like, I don't fake the funk. You know what I'm saying? Like our non-design is our design. Right.
And I think no matter what you tell us how you do it, you can't get in your head regardless. So it'll never.
Of course, no, but I'm just saying, like we take the mentality of we're gonna make what we all like without a theme, without anything. Obviously, there's some project-based things, but we go after concepts and ideas that we like versus then trying to like work under an overarching theme. When somebody says, "Oh, my theme is about fucking the zoo," and then I have to do all these different animal prints and this and that. It's like, no, we don't operate like that. We just make what we feel is good for the time that's going to come out.
Okay.
Straight up. So like, like seasonal designing, but also ideas that are relevant now that could be graphics. Say, yo, just fucking put it out. What's the wait? Why do we have to wait? Let's just put it out.
And, we, obviously I have Frankie brand. We do mostly rework, but we have done some new projects, and we sit there and we hash out all these ideas, and a lot of ideas get cut. We do graphics that get cut, and like that obviously happens with pleasures. You're cutting projects. You throw out a bunch of ideas. Some make it, some don't.
Yes,
it's interesting, man. I like this process, and I think it shows in your designs, in your graphics, in the stylings of pleasures, your music background and your vintage background, and I think that's super cool. So. Also, how is your where you've lived, like your city, influenced your design?
Well, I mean, like I would have never made this brand in New York because there's like too much like haterade, too much competition in New York. When you move to LA, people are like, "Cool, I have a brand. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm a fucking garbage man. I'm whatever." Right? And everybody just kind of connects, and it's just more free spirited, more my vibe. Like. LA is just very welcoming to the creative community, where it's like, cool, like you make t-shirts, I make nail polish, let's do something, shit like that. It's just like, the barrier to entry and the welcomeness is much more friendly in LA versus New York.
I've felt that. I feel that completely. I spend way more time in LA than New York.
Of course.
I've literally only been to New York like handful of times in my adult life when it's necessary for business. And I love how you articulated it, because I have just felt that through my life and travels and doing business. But you are right. It is way more welcoming.
It is. And I think it has to do a lot, as cliche it is, but the weather, the weed, the people, what I'm saying? It's just much more lax. It's just much more like, if you have that New York hustler mentality, but play the game in LA where you could be chill at the same time and still get shit done. And that's kind of our motto at the office. It's like, yo, we're working full ass days out here. Like, we're not, you know what I'm saying? It's like a 9 to 7, 9 to 8 job every day. So it's just like, if you put that mentality in there, so it's like a little bit of New York hustle mixed with the chillness and forwardness of LA. And I think that's a good mentality to work by.
So, I guess it's kind of one of those things too. If it's more cutthroat and not as accepting in New York, harder to make it possibly. But like when you do make it in New York, it's like you're up there, you're like crushing.
I don't know, because it's a lot of smoke and mirrors too with the internet now. You can look like you're crushing, but you don't have anything tangible. It's just a bunch of ideas that you're putting forward, which I like too. Like, the world doesn't need more fucking clothes. The world doesn't need more shit. The world needs like more solutions, So I appreciate a lot of these people who maybe make product that doesn't exist, that just exists on the internet to view and enjoy, It's pretty cool.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. We don't need more products, and it is smoke and mirrors. And I talk about that a lot on the show. I'm like, some of these big brands and some of these people who you think are super successful could just be scraping by with the facade that they're doing big things, or, looking just fucking buying Ferraris or whatever they're doing. And The proof is in the pudding. And so as far as like you guys, you know, what is in the future for you? How has COVID like affected your brand? Obviously you do direct to consumer, but you sell to a lot of wholesale accounts, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we sell to about 200 retailers around the world. You know, like there's been a slight drop off in international just because that shit happens, and people saw this as a time to maybe readjust and drop brands who are, you know, maybe not as desirable. You know, luckily our sell through is really good with a lot of these retailers, so we've actually expanded during this time.
Nice.
But you know, like for every person that maybe was losing income, there was a bunch of people getting free income from the government. And they're like, well, fuck it. Like, I'm not working and I got extra money. I'm going to stimulate the economy with the money I was supposed to use. So, I mean, we really haven't really skipped a beat too much, honestly. I mean, not to toot our own horn, but we work hard, and I think it hasn't really affected us that much. The only thing it's affected is like working in the office, honestly.
Yeah, which we just discussed, and it's not so bad working from home when you got a little one.
I know, but hey, I'm in the office today. I'll tell you that.
I'm literally home 2 weeks because Canada still has a mandated 2-week quarantine, and I was just in LA. So I'm on my second week mandate home, and they threaten a $1 million fine if I leave.
I saw that. Some dude was fucking around trying to cut through to get to Alaska, and he got fined a bunch of money because he hung out too much in Canada. I don't know. I read that.
I heard. They've been throwing people on the news saying, you know, a couple people went to an anti-mask rally. They were supposed to be on a mandated quarantine, and they got busted at an anti-mask rally, and they got slapped with the fine. Not trying to play around when there's a $1 million fine on the.
No, and you know what? You live in a nice area up there. I personally wish that sometimes I lived in Canada, but yeah,
can't really complain.
Yeah.
So as far as like the pandemic affecting your business, you said it didn't really affect your business. What do you think the future of fashion in general is right now? Because I know it's put a divide, right? Like as far as the Amazonification of the world, certain companies got really wealthy from it, and then a lot of like mom and pops are probably shutting down. And you look at like department stores closing and things like that. Like, how do you think the landscape of fashion and consumerism in general is going to be changing throughout this?
I think it's going to be, you know, the human touch is kind of going out the window. The next generation doesn't really care that much about humanization. They're more on a digital level, I feel like. So, like, again, back to the Alibaba conversation, it's just going to be fully digital experience, you know, like e-commerce, all that. You know, for a lot of the younger generation, wearing clothes on the internet is like wearing clothes in real life. You know, so it's just like, you know, you see your outfit gets seen way more when you put something on social media versus when you're around your city in real life. You know, so I think it's gotten to that level where the younger generation is more concerned with esports and digital image versus you know, going to a store and actually buying an item where they don't have to really do much and it still be seen by the world and order it online.
So essentially, people staying home, buying stuff, buying it just to show it off online, and then literally living their life in jogging pants because that's what you can do now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there is going to be a resurgence of formal wear once the world opens back up, you know, and there's lots of, you know, high-end brands that are going to that more formal route, you know, like I've done some trend forecasting over the years, and this is my current one, which we obviously already see it happening. But you know, 2024 and beyond, it's going to be resurgence in more formal wear. You know, you already see brands like Stussy and Supreme are making blazers and suit jackets and more formal wear. Sneaker kids are starting to wear shoes more. You know, there's going to be a shift, just not just yet.
Interesting to hear. So obviously, with running a brand, there's like the WGSN, that is the trend forecasting conglomerate. Is that what they're called? WGSN or something?
Yeah.
like it's hard to even look at those kinds of things for a brand like Pleasures, I would imagine, because they're so like mass market, generalized trend forecasting. It's interesting to me how those companies can just kind of dictate the whole market. Like they've gotten so big at the trend forecasting that they can just put out what they're going to put out in their magazine, and you have every brand in the world kind of following along with it.
Well, I think it starts mainly on a high end level, you know, and it's the way certain people are acting and dressing, and it's like, you know, it doesn't start with streetwear. You know, it starts with, you know, super high end wear like it always has. You know, it starts on the Prada, Raf Simons, Gucci level and trickles down to everywhere else. You know, and it's always been like that, and it continues to be like that still. You know.
So, what do you think about Louis Vuitton and the skate shoe?
I think it's cool. I think, you know, having gone to some of these fashion shows over the years and seeing the shift and the change, I think it's great. I think Lucian is an ill fucking skateboarder, and I think Virgil gave him the sick alley-oop to fucking put him on, dude. That's like, you know, he's been, you know, when you're in a position of power like that, you should put people on, you know? And I think it's great. I think it's great.
I agree with that. And how do you think it's going to play out in retail? Do you know what this shoe is going to cost?
It's probably be upwards of $1,000, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. It's the ideas and the atmosphere, and they already got their marketing out of it. You know what I'm saying? They look good. You're in a new, you know, division of sports with a high-end luxury brand. Doesn't matter if the shoe sells one pair. It's already done what it needed to do.
Yeah, interesting concept.
Yeah.
How do you think it affects, say, the grandma generation of Louis Vuitton bag buyers? Do you think they care, or do you think it's just whatever? They don't even know.
No, I mean, like, I don't think they care. I just think, like, okay, cool. Louis was progressive when I was, you know, heavy into it back in the day, and they'll keep progressing. If they didn't progress, it could become a stagnant brand. But they're not like that. They're visionary. They see what's going on. They see the future. You know, they see the way that people are connecting. You know, it's a smart, you know, they're a great brand, you know, and they made a lot of smart moves over the years.
Yeah, totally. They're keeping current. So on the streetwear level, who do you think is doing it right now out there in the streetwear world?
I mean, I think we're doing a great job. But besides us, I like what Brain Dead's doing. You know, they've been around for a long time now, but they've definitely been making the right moves. They've been making cool shit. I'm biased to my friend Mike Sherman, you know, because he's killing it too. I know you did a project with him, and you know, he's building a fantasy factory of people over at his space, and he's been putting out, you know, thoughtful product, right?
Consistent, thoughtful. I love that you use the term fantasy factory, because when I first got my warehouse, that was my inspiration, 100%.
Yeah.
Cool. What's in the future for Pleasures? Do you got any collabs coming up we can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're announcing our biggest collaboration of this quarter that comes out December 4th with ASICS. So we're announcing that tomorrow.
Nice.
And I am an ASICS dude. I've loved ASICS for so long, and it's really an honor to have worked with them. This is the start of a partnership. We're so stoked about it. Fucking ASICS is just the technology, the comfort, the history. You know, to me, ASICS was the OG. ASICS, that's who, you know, Phil Knight worked for back in the day.
I have some ASICS on the floor right in the corner right now.
Yeah. ASICS are, it's a great company. They let us do our thing. We filmed a commercial up in Vail, Colorado. Like, I'm really excited about it.
Nice. Supreme sold to Vanity Fair. The news came out just today. What do you think?
Is it Vanity Fair? I thought it was VF.
Well, I thought VF was Vanity Fair, like Corp.
I don't know.
I think it's Vanity Fair. That's what I heard, but maybe not. It's VF Corp, but they own a bunch of brands. They own Timberland, I read. They own, I don't know. They own a lot of brands anyway.
I think it's VF. I don't think it's Vanity Fair or something else.
Okay. So regardless, they sold to VF. This is their second corporate buyout move, apparently, because they were already owned by some other like Asian conglomerate.
Honestly, I'm not really checking for them like that. I don't know. I'm like kind of tapped out. I don't know. It's just not on my radar anymore. Like it's in a different stratosphere. It's a completely different thing. It's like it's on like an Amazon, Nike level. I'm like checked out from it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So the vintage biz lately has been nuts, dude. I don't know if you've been tapping into that at all. Have you?
Yeah, I've been selling a few things on eBay, grailed, but I've been buying a few things here and there, stuff that I've wanted. I've traded for some stuff, just mainly t-shirts,
Yeah. The market since COVID has kind of boomed crazy. Prices are going like skyrocket on a lot of stuff, which is fair enough. It's also kind of crazy how like certain other collectibles, Pokemon's going crazy, baseball card or NBA cards are going nuts now.
Baseball cards. Yep.
What are your thoughts on it? Like, do you think this is like just some kind of boom because everyone's just bored sitting around on their computers, or you think this is like the way of the future here and kids are actually like investing in their future with this shit?
I think it's a little combination of both. I think people are bored and I think people are just trying to level up. And I think the ultimate sign of individuality is vintage, because in a world of mass market, and you could set yourself apart with something that's vintage because it's much harder for somebody to have the same shirt as you when it's that old, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I think for me, we design our stuff as future vintage, meaning like, hey, I hope somebody finds us at a thrift store in 20 years. And that's kind of my answer to sustainability. We make product that is future vintage where somebody's going to be stoked on finding it in 20 years,
Yeah.
So with that being said, I for certain things, like a homie of mine said, yo, I got some Marvel tees, I got some Sade tees. And I said, well, I don't know how much these things are going for. And he said, this Marvel tee that I had for $2,000, like full print Marvel comic. I'm like, damn, I didn't know it was like that. I had no idea.
Yeah, totally.
Crazy.
So I read, so basically looking at this, StockX jumped in the game and they're doing baseball cards. Do you think StockX will eventually jump into the vintage game and start to do like an authentication service and start to put it on their system?
I don't think so, because all the stuff they sell is new product. They're not in that used game yet, but I don't know. I don't know much about their business. I've sold a few things on the website and my user experience was pretty good. It's pretty fast and efficient, but I don't know if their customer is into vintage. I don't know.
Did you ever get word of Complex doing ComplexCon virtual?
Yes.
Do you know much about that? I just heard when they were launching and having their original meetings about it.
And I told them I wasn't interested because I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. We are participating in Art in the Streets digital art festival with a bunch of amazing artists. This is the first time we're saying this, but we're doing a project with Eric Hayes, the infamous Hayes from New York City. So we're super stoked on that. Somebody that me and Vlad look up to a lot. And it just adds to the allure and the history of the brand of working with this like iconic artist that we grew up loving, So
what is this event all about?
The digital festival and art show is going to be, I think, the first week of December. And, the Art in the Streets has been ongoing for the past decade and a half, and it's been all over the world, but it's just something that, I don't know, is still very relevant and very cool. And it was a sick opportunity. We would never link them any other way. ComplexCon land. Saw the email, looks kind of weak. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. I heard about it a long time ago. I just thought about it while we were on this topic, but I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Just so detached. It's like walking around virtually like a video game and buying sneakers from these drops on a virtual world. It's not far off from what people are already doing, but
no, it's not.
So I read somewhere that you guys look at part of your main mission is to educate people, right? Through pleasures.
Of course.
So can you speak to that a bit? And like what what is it you want to educate them on? Is it the art? Is it the music?
I think it's everything. It's like it first starts. It's like when I was a kid, like I heard about music from the older kids and the grades ahead of me. Like when I first heard about Green Day, some kid was wearing a shirt with a piece of shit on it, and I was like, "That's a cool shirt." And then I started to listen to the band, and all these older kids put me on. And before you know it, it's like, all right, I'm in 4A. I'm totally in the punk rock, and I'm stoked, right?
Yeah,
like that feeling. That feeling when you go to the record store and, it's not really a thing anymore as much, but, it's like that feeling of like discovery. So it's like we want to put on this next generation through music, art, references, things that we like, and I think that's how you push forward. It's like a lot of kids thought the Joy Division Waves was just like a Tumblr image. They didn't know. But like, no, this is the music. This is what it's about. This exists because, and kind of tell that story.
Yeah, that's rad. Storytelling, I think, is super important. And you're right; it is putting kids on because it's deeper than just the T-shirt. It's what it represents, and then it's making that story go further.
We have a huge project coming out next year. I can't announce it because I'm not allowed to, but it's with an amazing band from Manchester. Probably figure it out, but it's just this massive thing we've been working on for almost a year, and I'm really excited to see it come to fruition.
Nice. So what advice do you have for the young kids out there? What final words do you want to leave them with? Like, if there's like a couple lessons you've learned in this whole journey, starting your brand and getting to where you are now? What would it be?
I think the best advice I could give, because I'm not really good at giving advice, but is don't pay attention to what other people are doing and just do what you want to do. Stay true to your focus and just focus on your agenda at hand. And if you believe in it, other people will too. When you start to feel like it's a competition, then it's like it loses its fun. And, just try not to pay attention to what other people are doing and just create what you want to create.
Yeah, love it. I have another question actually, but I want to know, like, throughout, in my business life, there's been so many ups and downs. There's been times when we're like, we're going to throw in the towel. This is this not working out. And then we stick with it, and then we have a great year, and then, ups and downs, man. How has the Pleasure's journey been?
Always.
How has the Pleasure's journey been? And like, has there been like there's obviously ups and downs, but can you speak to any and like some hardships possibly?
I mean, it's just like, other people's creative input, like I have a pretty strong vision, and, my team sometimes barks back at me. My business partner barks back at me, but and I think that's the hardest part is getting people to agree on what you're making, what you're creating, trying to sell your dream, your authenticity to your coworkers too. It's like, I think we should make this. Here's why. And when 5 people say no, and then you say, well, it's my company, so I'm going to make it anyway. But no, just kidding. But, it's just like constructive criticism is always welcome. Like I appreciate that. Some of my staff is in their early 20s. I'm in mid 30s. And it's just like, all right, maybe I know that. Maybe I didn't see that meme. Maybe I'm not on fucking this message board as much as you are. I don't know.
But then there's sometimes you just know. You're like, no, this idea is what's up, and we're doing it, and that's it.
Experience. Sometimes it's like, no, I know that Fashion Victim did this print in fucking 1991. And I'm not gonna fucking rip this off because it's already been done. Type shit like that. Like we all reference vintage stuff, but at the same time, some people just blatantly go for it, and you can't do that.
Yeah, for sure. And then how much of that, like when you do that, when you take inspo from stuff, and someone like myself can see a lot of your inspo, which I love because that's the fun of knowing vintage and then knowing what brands are doing. But then there's so many of the young generation that don't get the references, but it just is cool to them. And do you think the reference, it matters a lot, or is it just that the shirt is cool or the garment is cool?
I think the garment's cool if the message is right and timely. You know, it doesn't really matter where the reference is from. You know, it's like, you know, you can have a shirt that says "eat shit," but if the graphic is cool, people are going to be into it. You know, like, I don't know. It's just like it's really all how you. It really all comes down to marketing too. It's like, how do you present it to the world? Are you taking a white background photo and are you just putting it on the floor and taking a photo, or are you actually putting some thought into the creation of this garment? You know?
Yeah, fully. So you said how your partner could bark back at you. We've had partners over the years. Jesse and me fight sometimes. How is the working relationship with your partner?
Right now, we're pretty good. You know, it's like it's been a year of ups and downs, non-business wise. But, you know, we're ending on a strong note. We just had our Black Friday sale, so we're happy. And,
you just ran a Black Friday.
You know, like sometimes you don't see eye to eye. Yeah, you got to get the money early, dude. Come on.
Good call.
And then, yeah, it's just like being married. You know, you have to learn how to work with that person, you know? And I think that's, you know, something learning every day. You have to be sensitive to other people's feelings while, you know, getting your point across as well. And it's a push and pull. Just being married is the hard thing, you know? Being in business is even harder, you know?
Fuck, you broke up there, Alex.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm here, but you broke up a bit. Sorry, can you say like the last sentences?
I said, you know, being married is hard, but being in business with somebody's harder.
True enough.
No, didn't work?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Do you guys have a mission statement for Pleasures? Or like some kind of...
It kind of changes all the time, you know? I think right now the mission statement we've been using is wearable expressions for an uncertain future. Meaning like we don't know what the next decade is going to happen, but we're making clothes that are expressive of where we want it to go and what we want it to represent. So that's kind of, yeah, that's where we're at.
So we're talking about how far you got to work ahead. You probably already have some plans up to 2 years ahead, correct?
Yeah, there's some footwear stuff that I'm working on for Q1 22.
And when you do that, you know, you can't plan something 2 years ahead and then change it on the fly last minute. You know, you got to be pretty sure of yourself. But I guess the direction that you guys go is that you're doing your own thing no matter what. So it's not following any relevant trends in the fashion world, I suppose. So it's kind of easier. And I guess it's where does the confidence come from in like being able to be like, that's what's hitting in 2 years for us?
I think it's like when you have people like Adidas and Doc Martens and all these people who see everything they made and they say, cool, this is different. We've never made anything like this. Then you feel good about your idea. We're like, all right, well, if you don't have plans to make anything like this, then let's put it out with us and get some energy behind it. You know, it's like when we did a shoe with Doc Martens, they asked us to participate in their 60th anniversary of their boot. And we were at the factory and this guy said he's been working there for, 30 years, whatever. I said, did you guys ever split the boot? Like make like two different materials like down the center? And he's like, no, we never did it. I'm like, well, why not? He's like, I don't know. Nobody ever presented it to us. We made it. So like if you make timeless product, it doesn't really have an expiration,
Yeah, totally. Has there been times when you've worked with a brand and the visions have been so different that you like, we got to cut this? You don't have to tell me who, but like.
Yeah, I mean, it actually happened today. We were trying to do a project with a friend's brand and they're just on a different level, different headspace. And they're just like, this isn't working out. And we're like, all right, cool. No hard feelings. We still love you guys.
Yeah.
It's just like people have different creative vision and, people just try to be as calculated and different as possible. Sometimes the shit works out. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, fair enough. But there's times when you got to call it, you got to walk.
You gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them, you know. And I've been pretty good for the past decade of my timing. My timing's been pretty solid, you know.
I agree, man. You are, in my eyes, at the top of the streetwear game right now. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Appreciate your answering my calls when I need some advice.
Of course, always. I got.
You got any last words you want to share with the people?
Shout out to Jesse, Drew, the whole Evans and Frank family, the vintage OGs.
Thank you.
Shout out to my staff for pleasures, and shout out to my newborn Kiko.
All right. Doing it for Kiko. Yo, thanks again, dude. That was rad.
Every day.
Thanks for coming on.
Hope you enjoyed that episode with Alex James. Thank you for tuning in as always. Please like this video. Please share it with your friends. Please leave us a comment. Please subscribe to the channel and all that shit. You know how it goes. Gotta plug the Patreon as always. You can support me on there and I really appreciate it. But I'm gonna give a shout out to some new Patreon members here on the show. Okay, at Continuous Vintage. Go follow him, and at Thrift Store Betch. Okay, go follow her. Thank you guys for joining the Patreon. For everyone else out there that hasn't yet, you know, this is a crazy business. You know, there's a lot of people in it. You probably have a lot of friends in it, but not a lot of people truly get together and talk about business. If you want to connect with people, if you want to join the Patreon, get access to the full mastermind group on Facebook, and jump into our weekly or bi-weekly lives, then check out the Patreon. There's a lot of good value there. We're posting all the true tips and tricks of the biz, and you get to connect with us. You get to connect with me, all that stuff, and you get the shout out on the show. Okay, that's enough about the Patreon. Thanks again for tuning in. See you on the next one.